We have a box, not just any box. It is a special box. I'm going to cut this box open and take the item inside and make it outside around each corner. And you should be able to see that. So, Atem Mini Extreme ISO, live stream and record. Guess what? This means I'm going to start doing some live streams. Hopefully. And this is used also. This isn't new, although it looks like it. And I could be wrong. I dig into it, and maybe it is marked as being new. But let's see. Download Hollywood's most powerful color corrector, editor, audio, post, and visual effects solutions. Free professional training. And then we got a quick little manual looking thing, which is just giving you download instructions on downloading the software, which is, I do use DaVinci Resolve Studio version 20 for the editing for this channel. So we're going to get this box out, which is inside there. And then we're going to take the device out. And that's just some foam padding to protect. And so this is what you get. Pretty warm to the touch because it came through the post office. Post office had a very hard time getting it here. But the post office has a very hard time getting anything anywhere. Believe me. If you want something to be somewhere, use UPS. Don't use the post office, because the post office is not really good at that stuff. So here's the power supply. It is a 12 volt, 5 amp, pretty hefty dude. And it's got a original, because the original, you can tell if you have original Blackmagic, because it plugs in and actually screws in. Most devices won't do that. And a lot of these Blackmagic devices, they pretty much all take 12 volts, seems like. But you'll have a power supply that just plugs into it. And that is not what is normally comes with the Blackmagic. The Blackmagic comes with this plug that actually screws into place, because all your devices have this ability to screw in, or at least the professional grade devices. And the reasoning behind that is you don't want this shifting around through vibrations or whatever, and the power cable come loose and your entire live production go dead. And so, especially on devices like this, you've got that. It's screwed into place and secured. So what this is, let's give the meat and potatoes on it first. Of course, you've got power. You've got a, I don't know what size. I think it's gigabit, Cat 5 connector, of which you can control it through this. Plug into your computer directly and use their software to control this directly, or through the USB ports. So it's got two USB ports, an A and a B. You've got two HDMI outs, 1 and 2, and then you have 8 input ports. So this is where your 8 cameras / computers / anything that generates an HDMI signal output can be put into here. So you can like have 2 cameras, an overhead camera like you're looking at now, and a forward camera like I use sometimes, and plug that in 1 and 2. And then I can hook a computer up here, 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 and here to generate backgrounds against a green screen, which I'm going to do that too. or different graphics or stuff that I want to do on the lower third where it'll pop up at the bottom of the screen to do exactly whatever, to come up down here and use a computer to do that. So you don't have to have, these don't have to all be cameras. They can be whatever, like I said, generates an HDMI signal output. And so you have a mic 1 and a 2. So if you've got two people, an interview style, a blog, I mean, not a blog, but a podcast or whatever, you're interviewing someone where you've got an input for each of those, plus a headphone output. So you can listen to your output, which I've thought is odd in the beginnings. But if you record an entire video and you go back to edit it and there's no sound, you understand what I'm saying, then you can fix it at that moment because you're listening to your output. It is extremely weird to listen to yourself talk while you're talking. You just got to do it to understand what I mean. I can't get used to it, but regardless. So this is pretty cool. I can take one of these, and you configure, these can be configured in the software. And so I can configure one of these as my program output, and that'll go to a quick little monitor that I can see, and I know for sure that's what's actually streaming out. And I can plug my headphones into that monitor, and I'll hear exactly what you're hearing and see exactly what you're seeing. Then the other can be the preview or the multi-output, which will give me all the outputs that I'm putting into this device. And so I can configure them around to be different things, just however I want to do it. Then you have two USB-C connectors, which is awesome because I can take one and plug a hard drive into and record right off the bat with no issues. And the other, I can push the signal straight into the computer just like a webcam. And so that would be what would be going to YouTube and going out to you guys through one of these, and the other one would just have a hard drive. But I also have the HyperDeck Minis that I'm working on, and I've gotten one working, but I want to fix the power supply, and so that's one thing that I'm looking at getting taken care of. And so what I wind up doing is I'll take and run possibly. I'll take the program output on this and run it out and go to that HyperDeck Mini, and it will do the recording for me and go on up to a preview screen from there. And this is going to be streaming out. You can also stream on the Cat5 connection, which I'm really looking forward to trying that out and see how it does. I think it's going to do pretty cool to be able to do that. So that's pretty much the gist of what all you've got here. Now, on the board, it looks intimidating. It really does. But it is not really intimidating. So let's start by eliminating all of these buttons right here. There's 6 buttons above each one. So what it is each one of these buttons has these attributed directly to this button, these, and so on. Directly above the buttons, you have what you need. These buttons here are dealing with audio, video, reset, on, off, volume up and down. So you've got individual control of each one of these inputs right here through these buttons here. And then up here, this, like I said, you can ignore these unless you can afford Blackmagic cameras. If you can afford Blackmagic cameras, then you can actually come in here and say camera 1 and camera 2 are both Blackmagic cameras. You can adjust your gain, your focus, shutter speed, and then probably the volume output individually on each one of those devices. And so that's what these right here are for. So most people won't even get to use these because Blackmagic cameras are really good, but really, really expensive. They love them. They don't want many people to buy them. They only want whoever's making the next Batman or Star Wars. Anyway, so up here you've got mic control. So for the first mic, input 1, you have on, off, volume up and down. And then on mic 2, same thing. And then the headphone, of course, you can mute it, you can reset or volume up and down on the headphone that you're listening to the audio coming out from this device. And then up here, you've got a lot of different things that I really don't 100% understand all these. I'll have to learn this stuff up here. Over here is picture in picture. So I can turn that on or off, and I can set it up to where the picture display in either of the 4 corners or mid to the left, where I can be stuck off to the side with my ugly mug and in the picture in picture, and in whatever I'm doing in the other side of it. And then this will take 2 cameras and set them side to side in the middle of the screen. And then this right here this is macro buttons. You can configure specific macros to assign them to each one of these buttons to do certain specific things. Of course, you got preset durations. And then this right here is like transitions. Like if you want to do a cheesy, like, a Batman movie or something where and then it kind of crossfades across the screen, and you gotta coming into the next part of the show. Well, that's what these buttons right here are for. And let's see, then you can change your output from multi-view to program. So whichever part I've got configured as multi-view, I can hit here, I can look at the monitor, and it'll give me everything that's coming into here. It'll be a box that shows everything that's coming into here. Hard drive space, I think it's network speed, the whole 9 yards. And then I can leave this on multi-view, which will show me all that. I want to check the program output, or I hit this button, and then it blanks over. The whole screen is taken up by what is being broadcast out of this device. So that's cool. But for the most part, I mean, I'm just going to have a little small dedicated 7-inch monitor up above my head. So in videos, you see me looking up, I'm looking at that monitor to make sure whatever I'm doing is in focus. And it's primarily going to be used with this camera right here, because I have a bad problem of putting something so that I can see it and then you can't see it. And so that'll help me keep things centered. Just like right now, this is the center of the screen. But it's not the way the camera is done, because a lot more is videoed, and I just cut this section out, and that's what I put in the video so that I can see what's what. And so although it's centered for what I'm doing, which this is center from my perspective, but this is actually center of the screen. And so you can see that sometimes I have to put it in an odd place for me to see, for you to be able to see correctly. So anyway, the dedicated monitor, the little small one, will help me with that. And then you've got where you can, I don't understand these a whole lot. I got to find these out. Let's see, fade to black. Like at the end of the program, well, that's all tonight. You hit that button and it slowly fades out to a black screen. You can set this up to where you can hit these buttons and it instantly changes to each one of these inputs, pushing it through to the program output. Or you can set it up in the software so that it will function like a normal switcher that you'll see at a television broadcast studio. Because what they'll do is they'll have a monitor showing them all of their feeds. And then they've got this one highlighted. That's the anchor person talking. And they're getting ready to switch over to the other anchor person. So they hit number 2 and it'll turn one color. It won't turn red because red means it's live. It'll turn green. And so you'll see one section on preview that pops up, and make sure your camera's good, get adjustments if you need, and then hit cut. And then it'll swap from 1 to 2 and that'll become red. This will go out and you're pushing out the next one. And so that is really good, especially when you're dealing with people moving, different things like that, multiple cameras controlled by someone. If you have stationary cameras where everything is set, nothing moves, then it's not really a reason to go with the preview and the standard cut function. You can just take and swap between your feeds instantly because the cameras are not going to move, but potentially they could where you've got a cameraman out there controlling the camera. And so that's why you'd go to preview. The guy would see that everything's in focus, everything's in the shot, everything looks good. And when it's time, he cuts and goes to that camera. And so in a live production, you don't have a whole lot of room for error. But at the same time, even with a live production, if your cameras are mounted and fixed, then there's not a whole lot of reason to cut because it's going to still be the same. Unless an earthquake happens, and then you're probably not paying a whole lot of attention to what you're doing on the monitors anyway. So that's kind of a rough overview of this panel and the things about it. When I learn more about it and I'm used to it, I may do another video on it. This right here, you have multiple keyers. And so this right here, you can turn your key 1 on and off. There is, I think, 4 keyers built into this. I'm just reading and looking. I don't see. You got a bunch of different buttons here that says different things, and I can guess at them, but I'm not going to tell you because I don't know for sure. But I do know this turns the key on and off. And this enables the disc. And right here, you can start recording or stop recording, and that's going to be coming through your mounted hardware. And then on air and off air, which is basically, you're ready to go on YouTube, you're streaming, take it off, and suddenly you're not streaming anymore. Put it back on, and you're putting an output. But what you would actually see on YouTube, I guess it would just go blank. It would still be streaming because the software is still streaming, only you're just not putting a signal to be streamed. And I think after a certain period of time, YouTube would probably notice that and shut it down. But you can turn it on and off right here. And so that's a visual representation that you're on there or not. So that is basically just a quick little rundown. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm going to take and double check every one of my camera or every one of the inputs on here. I'm just going to hook a camera up to it, turn the camera on, have to be forced to look at my ugly mug and push it up to the little monitor I've got up top. And then I can see, if I see the inputs come on that monitor, then I know I'm good. And I'll just plug this into this out to the deal up there, because one of these, like I said, this is used, so it's already been configured, and I don't know how these are configured. Some of them may be configured for a computer, or they may be configured at a different resolution or something like that. But technically, I think this one is supposed to figure out what resolution is coming into it, and then it puts out the 1080p. So anyway, we're gonna check all that out and see what's what. One other package that come in, and I know I haven't done a whole lot of unboxings lately because I don't know. I don't really think you guys care to see the unboxings. But I've got them here, and so I'll just go over this here. But if y'all want to see unboxings, I'll be sure from now on to make sure that I do unboxings. I tell you what, that was not what I expected to see. So, I'm working on the HyperLogic, HyperDesk Studio recorders. And I needed 16 volt, 1000 microfarad capacitors. And so I ordered some that matched exactly what I had. I saw these, they were cheap. I said, all right, well, I'll order them too. And so I did. And that won't by no means fit on that board as a repair. So let's just, as an example, just to let you know, these are the size of the originals that are blown. And I replaced it with this one that's supposed to be good, and I couldn't get 12 volts out of the deal. And here is the replacements that I bought that I got in first. And you can see that they're bigger even than the other one that I found. But this fits in there, and I was able to use it just fine. And I got my 12 volts output that I needed. And so those power supplies came back online. But I did have another issue because when I put it back in circuit, it was dropping the voltage down. So I've got to figure that problem out, and I'll do another video on those as to what else I have to do to finish repairing those. But that's some more capacitors. It's good to have anyway. So, all right, that's all I got. I appreciate you guys. I thank you. I love spending time with you. I hope to spend as much time as possible with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. I'll see you then. Your time is very important to me, and I thank you for spending it here with me. Thanks, and God bless.